What happens when a tired CEO, just looking for a quiet bite to eat, walks into one of his own diners and sees a chef yelling at someone's grandma? Zeke Farnell owned 9 diners spread across the Midwest, passed down from his father, who built the chain from a single trailer back in the 70s. The business had grown faster than Zeke ever planned. After his dad passed, he tried to keep the same spirit alive: cheap, hearty food, no-nonsense service, but lately, something fell off. Customer complaints were stacking up. Most were small things: cold fries, slow service, but one location kept popping up: the diner in Red Hill, a small town with only one gas station and a post office. Zeke hadn't been to that diner in years. He didn't know the team there personally. The staff had changed since his last visit, and none of them had ever met him face to face. The place was just another dot in the company map, to most of them. So, he figured it was the perfect place to show up unannounced and see things for himself. He shaved his beard, wore thick glasses, and pulled on a faded denim jacket. A ball cap with a Nebraska cornfield logo completed the look. He looked more like a trucker passing through than a man worth millions. He drove himself out to Red Hill, parked by the side of the road, and walked in just after the lunch rush. The place wasn't packed, but a few booths were still occupied. A waitress in her 20s glanced at him, but didn't seem interested. "Sit anywhere," she called without looking up from her phone. Zeke nodded, choosing a seat at the counter. The place looked clean, but something about the energy felt stiff, like everyone was walking on eggshells. He watched as a young teenage busboy nervously cleared a table, his hands shaking as he stacked plates. "Coffee." The waitress, name tag reading Cassidy, stood in front of him with a tired look. "Yeah, thanks," Zeke said. As she walked away, Zeke's eyes scanned the kitchen window. A stocky man in a stained white apron leaned out, barking orders at someone. His voice carried through the dining area. "Table 3 better not send this back, or I swear." Then it happened. An elderly woman, probably in her 80s, walked slowly toward the counter. She wore a pink cardigan and clutched her purse close to her. Her voice was soft, but shook with nerves. "Excuse me, sir. I think my eggs are undercooked. I asked for over hard, but they're still runny." "I'm sorry. The chef stormed out of the kitchen." "You kidding me, lady?" he snapped. "You ate half the plate already and now you're complaining? You think we got time to play games?" Zeke turned on his stool. The old woman flinched. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just wanted." "Then don't," the chef snapped. "Next time, go cook it yourself." Zeke stood up. The entire diner went quiet. Cassidy tried to smooth things over. "It's okay, Miss Hattie. Let me take it." "No," the chef said, cutting her off. She already made her choice. Zeke took a step forward, his voice calm but firm. "That how you talk to your regulars?" The chef looked at him, confused. "Who the hell are you?" "Just a guy who doesn't like seeing a woman treated like that." The chef scoffed. "Then maybe you should leave." Zeke bit his tongue. Not yet. If he blew his cover now, he'd never see how deep the rot went. He turned to Hattie. "Ma'am, if you'll let me, I'd be happy to buy you a fresh plate. Made right." She smiled, eyes watering. "That's very kind, dear." Cassidy looked embarrassed. "I'll take care of it. I'll make sure it's right this time." The chef mumbled something under his breath and stormed back into the kitchen. The rest of lunch was quiet. Zeke ate a simple burger and watched everything. Cassidy, despite the rough start, was attentive. She apologized to Hattie again, even offering her a slice of pie on the house. The teenage busboy kept glancing nervously toward the kitchen. Zeke noticed how he flinched every time the chef's voice rose. Zeke paid in cash, left a generous tip, and walked out. But he didn't drive off. Instead, he parked 2 blocks down, pulled out his phone, and called his district manager, a guy named Lou who'd been with the company for years. "Lou," Zeke said, "don't say anything to anyone yet. But I'm going to be working in the Red Hill Diner starting tomorrow." Lou paused. "As who?" Zeke looked back toward the small diner, the sun starting to dip behind it. Trainee. Kitchen side. I want to see what happens when they think no one's watching. Zeke returned to the Red Hill Diner just after 6 the next morning. The sky was still a dull gray, and the air bit with that early spring chill that never fully leaves small towns. He parked around the corner again, walked 2 blocks, and entered through the back just as the first prep cook was unlocking the rear door. He introduced himself as Cal, a new hire sent over by corporate to help fill in on kitchen shifts. Nobody questioned him. Red Hill had a reputation for high turnover, and the morning crew looked too tired to care. No one asked for ID, no one made a call to verify. That told him enough about the management's sense of accountability. Inside, the kitchen already smelled of bacon and burnt coffee. The prep station was cluttered. A cracked container of coleslaw sat half open on the steel counter. The grill was on, but no one was manning it. A young man with a thin frame and red apron walked in, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He stopped short when he saw Zeke. "You corporate?" the man asked. Zeke shook his head. "Just here to help. Heard you needed bodies." The man shrugged. "Name's Devin. I do short order, and sometimes prep. Depends what mood he's in." Devin nodded toward the swinging door. "You'll see." The chef from the day before, named tag reading Troy, pushed through the door a few minutes later, carrying a half-empty bottle of orange soda and wearing the same stained apron from yesterday. He didn't look twice at Zeke. "You knew?" he asked, still chewing something. "You know how to cut onions without crying like a girl?" Zeke met his eyes. "We'll find out, won't we?" Troy pointed a greasy finger at a stack of produce. "Start with that. I don't want to see seeds in the tomato slices. You mess that up, I'll throw the whole tray in the trash." Zeke nodded once and got to work. His hands weren't as fast as they used to be, but they were steady. He worked in silence, watching the flow of the kitchen. Devin moved quickly, but with a kind of cautious tension, always glancing toward Troy like he was expecting to be yelled at. No one else spoke much. By 7, the first wave of breakfast orders started rolling in. Zeke kept his head down and moved between chopping, refilling, and shadowing Devin on plating. Cassidy arrived around 7:30, this time in jeans and a gray hoodie under her apron. She looked surprised to see him in the kitchen, but didn't say anything. Instead, she grabbed a coffee pot and started making rounds with half-lidded eyes. "Hey," Zeke said casually as he passed her near the dish pit. "You always open?" "Lately," she said softly. "We're short on people. 2 waitstaff quit last week. One didn't show up again after her shift ended." Zeke raised an eyebrow. "No one filled in?" She laughed under her breath as she poured coffee into a chipped mug. "No one wants to. We get college kids sometimes, but they don't last more than a week." Zeke nodded, filing that away. By mid-morning, the kitchen was pushing through brunch. The grill was loud, dishes clattered, and the ticket printer didn't stop. Zeke moved between stations, doing whatever Troy barked at him to do. At one point, Troy dumped an entire tray of scrambled eggs into the waste bin. "They look fine," Devin said carefully. "They're dry," Troy snapped. "You want to serve prison food? Go work at the county jail." Then he turned to Zeke. "You. Clean the grill. Now." Zeke looked at the ticket line. "You sure? Orders are backing up." "I said clean it." Zeke wiped down the grill in silence, but he made a mental note. Troy didn't care about timing or team flow. He cared about control. Around 11, everything slowed. The breakfast rush tapered into lunch prep. Devin took a seat on an overturned crate, wiping sweat from his brow. "You always run this lean?" Zeke asked. Devin looked up. "We used to have 3 cooks. Now it's just me and Troy. Sometimes a guy named Marcus comes in, but he's been covering night shifts in another town." Zeke crouched near the prep table. "That's not sustainable." Devin gave a bitter smile. "That's not my call." Before Zeke could respond, the door swung open. A tall man in khakis and a fleece vest stepped in, talking fast and loud. "Where's Troy?" Troy came out from the walk-in cooler, wiping his hands on a rag. "What now?" The man handed him a clipboard. "Truck's delayed again. We're not getting the delivery till tomorrow. No hash browns, no ketchup." Troy muttered a curse. "And I'm supposed to make lunch happen with what? Lettuce and prayers." The man shrugged and left without another word. Troy tossed the clipboard onto the prep counter and turned to Devin. "Tell the front we're out of hash browns. If anyone gives you grief, tell him to go eat somewhere else." Devin hesitated.
"Now,"
Troy barked. Devin left through the swinging door. Zeke stayed behind, wiping his hands. "You always talk to your crew like that?" he asked. Troy gave him a sideways glance. "You're still here?" Zeke didn't answer. Troy stepped closer. "Listen, I don't know what hole they pulled you out of, but I run this kitchen. Things don't work unless I keep people scared. Otherwise, they get soft." Zeke met his eyes. "Or they quit." Troy leaned in, voice low and sharp. "You got a problem, take it up with corporate." "Oh wait, corporate doesn't care. They just want numbers. You want to survive here? Keep your mouth shut and your head down." Zeke didn't flinch. Noted. Lunch was rough. The missing delivery forced the kitchen to improvise. Troy shouted over the grill, blaming Devin for mistakes that weren't his. At one point, he grabbed a plate and dumped the contents into the trash because the coleslaw portion was a half-ounce off. Cassidy tried to hold things together in the dining area, but it was clear she was stretched thin. Zeke noticed one table left without ordering after waiting too long. Another customer asked for a manager about a wrong order, and Cassidy had to explain that there wasn't one on shift. By 2, the tension was thick enough to stir. Zeke stepped outside during a lull and found Devin leaning against the dumpster, smoking. "You ever think about leaving?" Zeke asked. Devin exhaled. "Every day." "So why stay?" Devin looked down. "My mom's sick. I gotta keep her meds coming. This place pays better than fast food, and I don't have a car to get anywhere else." Zeke nodded, silent for a moment. Then, "You ever report what's happening here?" Devin gave a dry laugh. "To who?" "HR's a voicemail box." Zeke looked out over the quiet back lot. "Stay strong. Just a little longer." Devin squinted at him. "Why do you care?" Zeke smiled faintly. "Let's just say I've been where you are. And I don't believe people should have to earn a basic level of respect." When they went back inside, a commotion was already unfolding near the register. A teenage girl in a high school Letterman jacket was crying, her tray untouched. Cassidy stood between her and Troy, who was pointing a finger in the girl's face. "You think I got time to deal with your drama? You order, you pay. Simple." Zeke stepped forward. "What's going on?" he asked. Cassidy turned to him, panicked. "She says he called her a name."
Troy turned.
"She said she couldn't eat it because it tasted too greasy. I told her that's what real food tastes like." She got all whiny. The girl wiped her face. "He said people like me are always complaining. Said I probably eat microwave rice at home." Zeke's voice was quiet but firm. "Is that true?" Troy crossed his arms. "She came in loud and disrespectful. I don't owe her anything." Zeke stepped past him and addressed the girl. "You're safe here. You don't have to pay for the food. I'm sorry for what happened." Then he turned to Cassidy. "Can you walk her out, please?" Cassidy nodded and gently led the girl to the door. Zeke turned back to Troy. "You're done." "What?" "You're fired. Right now."
Troy laughed.
"You can't fire me. You're a temp." Zeke reached into his back pocket, pulled out his wallet, and flipped it open. His company ID showed his full name and title.
"I'm Zeke Farnell."
"This is my family's company. You've been poisoning it long enough." Troy's face drained of color. "You're serious?" Zeke stepped closer. "You berated a customer. You discriminated. That's not a warning. That's the door. Get your things. You're done. Troy stood frozen for a moment, then stormed into the back. A few seconds later, the back door slammed. The kitchen was silent.
Devin stared at Zeke, stunned.
You're the owner? Zeke nodded. Cassidy re-entered, her eyes wide. What just happened? Zeke looked around the kitchen, then at the exhausted faces of the crew. What's happening, he said, is change. Zeke didn't leave that afternoon. He stayed in the kitchen, quietly washing down the steel prep tables while the staff tried to process what had just happened. The air felt heavier now, but not hostile, more like something had cracked open, and no one knew what would come out of it. Devin passed by with a stack of clean plates. You really firing him wasn't just for show? Zeke dried his hands on a towel. He's gone for good. You don't speak to people like that and keep a spot in this company. Devin nodded slowly, then grabbed another stack without saying anything. Zeke knew the next few hours would test them all. They had no head cook, no kitchen manager, and barely enough staff to get through dinner. But walking away wasn't an option. Not after what he'd seen. He stepped into the dining area. Cassidy was refilling napkin holders at the front counter, her shoulders tense. Zeke approached quietly. How's the girl? She's okay. I walked her out to her car. Said this wasn't the first time he said something ugly to her. Zeke's jaw tightened. Thank you for stepping in when you did. Cassidy looked at him for the first time since the reveal. Why didn't you stop him yesterday? I needed to understand how deep the damage went. I couldn't do that from the outside. She nodded once, then folded a napkin with slow precision. People get used to things. Doesn't mean they're okay with it. I know, Zeke said. That's on me. I let this place run too long without checking in. The bell above the door jingled. A couple walked in, middle-aged, matching windbreakers, the kind of travelers who'd been stopping at Red Hill Diner for decades. Cassidy stood up straighter and greeted them. Zeke didn't interfere. He went back into the kitchen and pulled out his phone. The line rang twice before Lou picked up. You still in Red Hill? I'm staying the week, Zeke said. Troy's fired. We'll need someone to handle payroll and ordering until I can get a temporary manager in. Lou's voice didn't waver. Understood. I'll drive out in the morning. Zeke hung up and turned his attention to the kitchen. The grill was heating slowly. Devin was already cracking eggs into a bowl, moving with quiet determination. The kid had rhythm. He didn't need to be told what to do, he just needed someone to stop throwing him off course. By 5, the dinner crowd started to trickle in. Zeke took over the fry station, giving Devin room to run the grill. They didn't talk much, but the flow was smoother than it had been all day.
Orders got out on time.
Plates looked good. Customers didn't send anything back. At 6:30, Marcus walked in. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a laminated badge clipped to his apron.
He paused when he saw Zeke on the line.
Where's Troy? He asked, setting down his backpack. Gone, Zeke said, not looking up from the fries.
I'm Zeke.
Owner. Marcus blinked once. Seriously? Zeke nodded. You're Marcus?
Yeah.
You still good to work tonight? Marcus shrugged off his jacket and grabbed a pair of gloves. I'll jump on prep. It wasn't easy. They were still short a line cook, and dish was starting to back up. But with Marcus in the back and Zeke on fry, they held it together. Cassidy brought in a second waitress around 7, a recent hire named Tanya, who looked barely out of high school but moved quickly and didn't complain. At 8:30, things slowed. Zeke stepped outside to breathe, hands still smelling of grease and salt. The cool air bit at his arms, but he didn't care. Behind him, the diner lights glowed against the quiet street like a holdout from another era. Cassidy came out a few minutes later, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. She didn't offer it, just stood beside him, silent. You always close?
Zeke asked. Most nights, she said.
Sometimes Marcus helps if he's around. but usually it's just me and whoever didn't quit that week. You ever think about leaving? Red Hill's home. My grandma lives 2 blocks down. I'm not going anywhere. Zeke looked at her. What would help you stay here long term? Cassidy flicked ash into the curb. Better pay. A manager who doesn't scream. A dishwasher who shows up. Some kind of schedule that doesn't change every 2 days. You'll have it, Zeke said. Not overnight, but soon. She didn't say anything, just nodded once, then finished her cigarette and went back inside. Zeke stayed out a little longer, listening to the quiet. This place had bones. It just needed someone to care again. When he went back inside, he found Devin at the dish sink, sleeves rolled up past his elbows, steam rising around him. You've been going non-stop, Zeke said. You need 10 minutes? Devin shook his head. If I stop now, I'll fall over. Zeke grabbed a towel. I'll rinse. You dry. They worked in silence for a while, the clatter of plates and hiss of water filling the space. Then Devin spoke. Do we really have a chance to fix this place? Zeke didn't look up. We don't have a choice not to. Around 10, they locked up. Marcus finished wiping down the grill and tossed his gloves in the bin. Cassidy counted the till while Tanya restocked the drink fridge. Everyone moved slower now, worn out, but steady. Zeke gathered them in the dining area before they left. I'm not going to pretend we can fix all this tomorrow, he said. But I saw too much today to walk away. Cassidy folded her arms. Tanya leaned against the counter, eyes tired but curious. I'll be here the rest of the week, Zeke continued, helping where I can. Next week, Lou's bringing in a temporary manager. Eventually we'll hire someone permanent, but we're going to do it right this time. Someone who listens. Someone who works beside you, not above you. Marcus nodded slowly. Devin watched him, then looked at Zeke. What about hiring more help? I'll authorize overtime until we stabilize, Zeke said. And we're raising wages for this location starting immediately. Cassidy blinked. You're serious? Dead serious, Zeke said. We lost good people because we let bad ones stay. That ends now. No one clapped. No cheers. Just a long, quiet breath from the group, like they were finally letting their guard down. Zeke let them go for the night, locking the door behind them. He stayed another hour, cleaning the coffee station and organizing the dry pantry. It wasn't glamorous, but it grounded him. Before he left, he wrote a note and taped it to the break room wall. Your time is valuable. Starting tomorrow, all current staff will receive a raise. Details at tomorrow's meeting. Thank you for showing up when it counted. Zeke. Then he turned off the lights and stepped into the night, the sound of gravel under his boots the only thing left in the silence. By Thursday, word had spread through Red Hill that something had shifted inside the diner. Customers who hadn't been through in months started trickling back and curious, cautious. The regulars noticed the difference first. No shouting from the kitchen. No slammed plates or snapped orders. Just a steady hum of work. Zeke stayed in the background as much as he could, still wearing the same denim jacket and plain ball cap, though by now, most of the staff knew exactly who he was. He'd made no announcements to the public, no grand speeches. Just showed up each morning, grabbed a towel or a knife or a spatula, and worked like everyone else. The crew still ran lean. Tanya had to leave early some nights because of school, and Marcus could only take on a few extra hours without burning out. But the difference was in how they moved. They weren't dragging anymore. They weren't flinching. They were just tired and trying. That afternoon, Zeke met Lou in the back parking lot. Lou had driven in from Cedarfield, a clipboard tucked under one arm and a tired look in his eyes. Didn't expect to see you back on the line, Lou muttered as they stepped into the walk-in cooler. Didn't plan to be, Zeke said, reaching for the inventory sheet taped to the wall. But I couldn't ignore what I saw. Lou scanned the list, then glanced at the nearly empty crate of tomatoes. You want me to get corporate to fast-track a vendor contract? Local supplier, maybe? Zeke nodded. Keep it within the county. I don't want to rely on long hauls anymore. If we can get produce from someone who drives past the diner every week, that's the right move. Lou jotted a note, then turned back to him. And the manager situation? I've got someone in mind, Zeke said. But they don't know it yet. The dinner rush started early. The high school hosted a spring concert down the road, so parents and grandparents filed in before the doors even opened. Cassidy handled the front with calm precision, guiding tables and checking in before they had to ask. Tanya floated between booths, quieter than Cassidy, but just as effective. In the kitchen, Zeke handled the flat top while Marcus prepped sides. Devin ran expo, calling out orders with more confidence than usual. 2 meatloafs, 1 no onions, 1 all the way. Fries on both, plus side salad, ranch on the first. Zeke plated the meatloaf and slid the trays down. You ever think about running this kitchen full-time?
Zeke asked.
Devin blinked. Like, as lead, you've got the timing. And people listen when you talk. I never thought of myself like that. Start thinking about it, Zeke said, then turned back to the grill. The rush lasted nearly 2 hours. By the time the last order went out, the kitchen looked like it had survived a storm. But no one snapped. No one walked off. They just kept moving. When the last table cleared out, Zeke called everyone into the dining area. They gathered slowly, some leaning against booths, others sipping water out of plastic cups. I've been here 4 days, Zeke began, and I've watched all of you carry this place with almost nothing to stand on. You've come in underpaid, understaffed, and overworked, and you showed up anyway. Tanya shifted in her seat. Marcus leaned forward, arms on his knees. No one interrupted. I won't let that continue, Zeke said. Effective tomorrow, every current hourly employee here will receive a $4 increase. Anyone working over 30 hours a week is eligible for full health coverage starting next pay period. We're also implementing guaranteed shift rotations, no more last-minute changes. Cassidy's brow lifted slightly. You're serious about all of it? I don't make announcements unless I'm ready to follow through, Zeke replied. Devin looked down at his hands. What about the long term? Is this permanent or just until things calm down? This is the baseline from now on, Zeke said. And we're not stopping here. I'm putting together a program to bring in management from inside, not just transfers from other towns. I want to build this place around people who actually live here. Marcus adjusted his hat. What happens when you leave? Zeke paused. I'll be back. Not just to check in, but to work. I'll rotate through each location again over the next year. Quiet visits. No heads up.
No filters.
I'm done pretending you can lead from a spreadsheet. Cassidy crossed her arms. And the next time someone like Troy shows up? Zeke's voice didn't waver. You don't wait for me.
You document it.
You send it directly to Lou. And we take action immediately. We don't give abuse a second shift. The group fell quiet. Then Cassidy spoke again. You really didn't know how bad it got here? I had numbers, Zeke said. But numbers don't show fear. They don't show someone crying in the walk-in because they're afraid to speak up. I failed you by trusting reports instead of people. That changes now. Marcus stood up first. You need help cleaning tonight? Zeke nodded. Appreciate it. The others stood too, slowly dispersing back into the kitchen to start the closeout. No one said much, but the silence felt different now, not heavy, just quiet. Like a deep breath after a long sprint. Cassidy stayed behind, wiping down a booth near the window. Zeke approached slowly. You've been holding this place together longer than I realized, he said. I was just trying to make it through the week, she replied without looking up. You ever think about management? She paused, cloth still in her hand. I did. Before. But people like Troy made it feel pointless. Think about it again, Zeke said. Not because someone's offering it, but but because you're the kind of person this place needs." She nodded once, then went back to wiping. The next morning, Zeke arrived early. The diner was quiet, the sky outside still bruised with dawn. He brewed the first pot of coffee himself and sat at the counter with a notepad. By 7, the staff trickled in. No one rushed. No one dragged. Just a steady rhythm of movement, like something had clicked back into place. Lou stepped in around 8, clipboard under his arm. "I spoke to a local farm co-op this morning," he said. "They're interested in running a pilot-produced partnership. Weekly deliveries. Fresh, in-season stuff." "Set it up," Zeke said. "Lock them in for this location first. If it works, we'll expand." Lou nodded. "And the rest?" "I'll handle it," Zeke said. "One store at a time." By noon, the lunch crowd had filled every booth. A woman in a wheelchair rolled up to the counter, and Cassidy greeted her by name before she could ask for help. Devin handled the grill with calm precision. Marcus joked with a regular while prepping sides. Zeke stepped outside and looked back at the glass. The diner didn't look different from the outside, same old sign, same metal chairs. But inside, it was something else now. Something earned. He took a breath, then pulled out his phone and typed a short message to his leadership team. "We fix the rest from here. One store at a time. No shortcuts. No silence." Then he slid the phone back into his pocket and walked back into the kitchen, apron already tied.